One of the most used towers in BT6, the Spirit of the Forest tier 5 Druid and all of its previous tiers just got one of the biggest nerfs that these guys have seen in a very long time. So Ninjakiwi is making good on that promise. They're gonna shuffle towers in and out of the meta. So the most used towers are, well, going out, and then some of the towers. Oh my god, wait a minute. This guy gonna defend round 6 by himself actually. One more red balloon. Oh my god, I didn't expect that to happen. Alright, so let me try and defend these rounds while I talk to you guys about the changes. So the biggest change arguably is the fact that the jungler's bounty's number of vine spawn got reduced from 2 to 1. Now that is a huge hit to what this tower was doing, and obviously it was very good at holding ceramics, and now it can no longer hold 2 ceramics at once, it's only 1. But you guys are noticing a lot of other changes, right? So for example, that the bramble duration now got increased from 4.5 to 9 seconds, and the fact that the attack rate can now be buffed. Now if you take a look at the tier list, this is probably one of the biggest nerfs that I have seen this tower get like in a very long time, because the tier list is now ranking it from A- tier, which was in update 44, now down to D tier. And D tier is the lowest tier that you can go in chimps mode because, well, obviously you cannot farm in chimps mode, and that's where all the farming towers are. I also want to mention this drop in ratings from A to D tier is a little bit too extreme, and that's because this tier list is skewed a little bit more towards true expert chimps maps, and those are multi-lane maps, right? And so on multi-lane maps, this tower, the Jungle's Bounty Druid, now with the removal of the second vine, is obviously a lot worse, and obviously it's going to see a huge drop in the ratings. But is it D tier worthy? Actually, I am not exactly sure. So that's what we're going to try today. We're going to try and buff it. Actually, we're going to buff the attack rate of this guy, and eventually I want to move into the Spirit of the Forest, the tier 5, and then we can see some combos that we can do with it. So the rounds to watch out are actually going to be the 40s, the 50s, and maybe the 60s. So 40s are going to be small balloons, 50s are going to be ceramics and Moabs, and then 60s is going to be mainly leftovers, which are going to be ceramics but huge numbers of them. So let's see how the Jungle's Bounty deal with all of those guys. And right off the get-go, I'm saving a little bit of cash. We're about to enter round 33. There's a little bit of a thing happening with Oben, and it's that he has camo protection to all of the druids. The problem is that he just got level 7, and I used the brambles on the previous round, so I think I pretty much have to do this, right? I would pretty much have to just give this thing like camo detection. I don't like that I did this, by the way, because we're gonna get camo from, and the Spirit of the Forest has innate camo, but it is what it is, guys. We don't exactly mind because this is an easy map to beat. And so if you take a look at the 130, this tower is just doing as well as it ever was, right? I mean, I don't see any issues with it. So even if we get the Heart of the Thunder, which is gonna be really nice versus these early rounds, like probably like the 30s and maybe the 40s. Alright, so we're about to get the money for the Jungle's Bounty, and we are, well, we're gonna have the Moab pretty soonish. So I'm gonna buy this thing right now, and first off, let's see how good it is. This is my first time trying it in an actual game, I'm pretty sure. And so yes, look at this thing. So we had 2 ceramics at the end of 38, and one of those ceramics got held and the other one just went through. And this is a theme that we're gonna be seeing a lot more, but let's just be patient with the tower. Let's just not come to conclusions pretty soon. So I guess we're gonna have the Moab bump into these into the brambles that are set up for it, and it's gonna pop in its entirety. And yes, there we go. All right, so absolutely no problem so far, as expected. And now it's time to do the thing that we were not exactly able to do that much previously, and that is to just buff the rate of this guy. So let's get the jungle jumps first. I'm gonna get an alchemist as well. We're gonna start off with something like a 320, but this guy's gonna become a 420 as well, because the extra attack speed goes from, I think it's 11 to 17%. So we want to get that extra 6% of attack speed. I think a very important round is gonna be 46 though, and 47, because 46 has 45 ceramics only on it. The 47 has a bunch of ceramics. It starts with a bunch of ceramics. So this is gonna be the exact round at which we're gonna be able to see this nerf of this guy just grabbing one ceramic balloon at once instead of 2. So yeah, one of the ceramics got grabbed. So look at this thing. Yes, so we're grabbing these guys, but not grabbing all of them. And so one of the things that happens is that look at these ceramics. So they're kind of popping, and it's creating a little bit of an issue for it, right? So if we have the druid set on first, it's only gonna be targeting the first balloons, and it's not gonna be grabbing the ceramics because it's gonna try and just clean up after the mess it made itself. Let me get the strongest stimulant, by the way. And you know what? Should we like overclock this thing? Like, does that even make sense, overclocking this tower? I think we should do it just for fun. I'm gonna be honest, because this is like not a difficult thing that we're not. Like, we're definitely gonna beat this thing. It's just a question of let's just test this tower and let's see how much fun we can have with it. So round 49, this one would have not been close like ever with the previous one, and it's obviously not gonna close with this one. And then the 50s, I'm really looking forward to watching the 50s like in general. We're gonna need some extra Moab damage, by the way, so let's make sure we do something about that. So maybe I was thinking maybe getting something like a Moab share. Is that gonna be good enough? Let me use the brambles and let's see how we do versus these next ones. So I feel like this tower on a single lane track is not exactly that bad, right? I don't see any particular differences between what this tower was able to do on a single lane map in comparison to what it was before this update. I'm gonna be honest. Yeah, I guess this is just gonna be noticeable mostly on those multi-track maps, and then maybe on the Spirit of the Forest, because the Spirit of the Forest, the bramble rate goes from 2.6 to 0.3 seconds, I believe. believe, and now because it cannot target, you know, with 2 vines at once, that is probably gonna make it a little bit weaker as well. But yeah, I just looking at the jungle's bounty, single lane maps, not an issue, I'm gonna be honest. 57, we are popping them. So the problem that we're having with these mobs is that we're popping them a little bit later, and that's why we're dealing with the ceramics a little bit later. But once these guys pop, yeah, absolutely no issues, it seems like. Right, so round 59, this is an interesting one. Only ceramics, camulets, and then more ceramics on this one. So let's see how we do. We are running a buff druid, by the way, so this guy has the alchemist and the jungle jumps village, which I guess is the way to run this guy nowadays. And I'm gonna be honest, so far so good. I'm gonna repeat this thing again. This is a single lane track, so I do not expect any issues. So obviously multi-lane tracks is just gonna be awful. Let's see how this thing does with a little bit more of a load on its shoulders, because 61 was kind of easy, but 62 has a bunch of purples, and then I guess the purples are not even an issue because I'm not even seeing it come out. And then these leftovers from the mobs, which are a little bit more dense than previously, we're gonna have 45 ones as well. And so far so good. Barely anything is making it into the spike pile. Let's see, we're not gonna be popping these 45 ones though, right? So we're gonna have to wait for him to walk into the shredder spikes, and then but it's no issue, right? It's no issue so far. All right, so 63, this is an important round, by the way, because I know for a fact that the previous one was able to hold 63 by itself, and that is without any buffs. Now this guy is fully buffed and he is defeating 63, yeah, no problem. I also have him set on first, by the way, so he's always targeting some of the leftovers. You know, the balloons that he's grabbing are not exactly ceramics, and that's a good thing, because if we're dealing with the ceramics, it means that the vines are strong enough to kind of wipe out the remains. And yes, there we go, that's round 63. I want to watch 65 as well, because we have 2 PFBs which are going to spawn a bunch of mobs, and those mobs are going to spawn a bunch of ceramics. I'm just curious if this tower can hold you know, the ceramic overload is going to be happening on this round, and it seems like that was the first one. Yeah, it's not going to have any issues. All right, so 3 more rounds to watch with this guy, and then we're going to get the Spirit of the Forest for the ultra late game. So the first round is going to be this one, 75, then we're going to have 76 with the huge wave of ceramics, which I know for a fact that the previous one was able to defeat by itself, and then 78 with the waves of ceramics on that one. So first off, I think I'm going to use the spike storm so we get rid of the mob layers, and then there's going to be a lot of leftovers, and this is going to be a true test of whether or not this thing can hold, and it's holding the first ones, I think. I mean, there's a huge spike pile at the back, but yes, are we going to hold it right now? Oh no, are we going to lose? It actually lost in 75, look at that. Okay, let me just try something. Let me get the Heart of Thunder, which is probably like, you might think that it's an insignificant upgrade, but we didn't lose to that many balloons previously. So let me use the ability right now, and let's see if the Heart of Thunder is going to do anything. Maybe like the ability is going to do something, because we used it a little bit earlier. But how is it looking, guys? That's a huge wave, and it's doing a lot better this time, because it seems that we have separated both of the waves of the ceramic leftovers that come out of these guys. So I think we actually might have it this time around. Let's see how we do. So holding some of the first guys, is the Heart of Thunder do anything? I think the Heart of Thunder did its job, and we're actually gonna defend like this. That's insane. All right, 76, how are we doing versus this one? Really important round, and then 78 as well, and I think we're holding this one no problem. The previous one was able to hold it as well. There we go, that's very good. Then 78, we're just gonna watch the first wave of ceramics, because the second one has 5 ceramics less, and if we deal with the first one, we're dealing with the second one as well, and it's looking like, yes, absolutely no problems. All right, so this is a green light for us to buy the Spirit of the Forest, so let's just get this tower going, and look at our boy go. Round 82, we've entered free play mode. I was able to buy the overclock as well. Let's, you know, might as well use it. The way that these permanent vines work is that they have a DPS effect, right? So the way that you want to maximize them is to keep the balloons inside of the vines for as long as possible. And by the way, Spirit of the Forest is doing really well, it seems like. So he's dealing with these guys. Round 84, so let's, you know, not just get too excited over this. Let's use the overclock, and let's actually think of ways to just keep the balloons inside of the vines, and preferably into this middle portion of the vines as much as possible. So one of the ways that we could do that is just like straight up with the glue. So something like a relentless glue is going to be nice. Let's overclock. I want to have the glue here at the back though, so this island is going to get a little bit overcrowded. The glue is actually going to be taking the buff from the alchemist, but I don't think we care at this point, so let's just have the glue like this. This is going to be a relentless glue 0 to 4. One of the weaknesses of the Spirit of the Forest, by the way, is ZOMGs, and that's beefy ZOMGs, because, well, these vines that don't do a lot of damage to mob class balloons in general. So I think overclocking is going to do anything unless we get some vines going. We can only get vines going on some small balloons, so yeah, that's not exactly helpful, but let's just do it anyways. I'm going to use the Spike Storm, and now let's get some vines going, and with the help of the relentless glue, I mean, we are keeping these guys in place, right? I brought Owen just for this reason, by the way. Not that he's like that good versus Druids, because he is, but more so the fact that he spawns these totems. Totems slow down balloons, and again, the more time the balloons spend inside of these vines, the more damage that they take. Alright, you know what? I think buying the overclock for the Spirit of the Forest might have been a little bit too of an ambitious play. I don't like it. So here's something I wanted to try out. If I overclock Oben, he's gonna be spawning these totems at a faster rate, right? Am I correct about that thing? Yes, look at this thing. So we have 2 totems active, and we're probably gonna have 3. Yes, there we go. It's barely 3 totems active with the overclocking. You can probably improve this even further. So if I get something like an alchemist for Oben, and can I fill the village? Actually, oh no, I cannot fill the village over here. But yeah, if you improve Oben's attack speed, he's gonna be spawning a lot more totems as well. So that's nice because we're gonna be getting the slowdown, and I think that's gonna do a lot more work for the damage of the Spirit of the Forest than just overclocking the Spirit of the Forest itself, right? So how are we doing versus DDTs? I guess we're doing fine. We're doing fine. As soon as they get hit by the Relentless Glue, they just get stunned in play. That's nice. And for the first time in a very long time, we're seeing some small balloons which are just getting eaten up. These guys would have probably popped onto the vines anyways, but it's good to have, you know, something like the Spirit of the Forest vines, just keep them in place and just pop them preemptively. But round 91 should not be an issue. Let me just do the overclock thingy on Obi so we get some more totems, and we should start getting concerned about our warp class damage, guys. We are not doing well versus not just UMGs, but anything that's actually even remotely fortified. We were just struggling with it. So we're a long ways off the Carpet of Spikes. We're gonna have DDTs, by the way. Let's see how we do. I'm gonna overclock Oben. So 3 totems active at once. That's really nice. Oben has no camo detection, but the totems do work onto these DDTs anyways, and yes, that's really nice. Alright, so if we can just have this thing happen for 95 and 99, that's gonna be awesome. So 94, no 45 balloons on this one. A lot of money though. I don't expect any issues on this round, to be honest. So we're gonna wait for these small balloons to pop, and then when UMGs are left over, I'm gonna use the Spike Storm, and this is probably gonna be the right time to do it, right? When all these guys just slow down. So let's use the Spike Storm. I'm gonna use the overclock on Oben, get those totems going, and let's just make sure we have the balloons spend as much time as possible right here in this spot. This is where our permanent vines are the strongest, and yes, look at this thing. We are absolutely demolishing 94. Alright, so DD is incoming, and we are holding them, guys. We do not even have the white hot spikes onto the Spike Storm, which means that there's no point in using it. But I did overclock Oben, and it's just the Spirit of the Forest, and Oben destroying these guys, and it seems like they're doing very well. The Relentless Glue is also doing a lot of work, just keeping these guys in place. But yes, so far so good. Alright, so after we defeat this round, it's gonna have to be the Carpet of Spikes, because 97 is probably gonna be the round that we lose to. Let's overclock Oben, and let's make sure we're dealing with all these fortified mobs, the small ones. There's a lot of VFBs on this round as well, but I don't see too many issues, right? As long as the balloon is not fortified, we do get the money for a Carpet of Spikes, but let's just try and beat this round just the way with the setup that we have, and then we're gonna buy it on the next one, I think. Look at this. Yeah, we're definitely starting to see the difference now. So, and actually, as soon as the balloons start leaving like this range, there's gonna be less and less damage being done to them. So we are either gonna be popping the balloons right here in the radius of around the Spirit of the Forest, or it's just gonna be an L, I think. Let me just check if we're gonna lose without the Carpet of Spikes. So we're gonna have the Relentless Glue slow these guys down, and let's see how we do versus 45 ZMGs. Damage is not gonna be too great, by the way, and they're probably gonna make it yeah, it's definitely not doing well. I feel like Oben is also doing a lot of damage just because I'm overclocking him. But yeah, these guys are, yes, this is pretty much the most the balloons have made in a very long time. And do we actually have this thing? I think if I use the, yeah, I'm gonna use the Spike Storm, we might actually defend this round. Yes, we actually do. That's insane. All right, so 98, let me overclock Oben. Finally, I think it's time for the Carpet of Spikes, guys. We're gonna need this thing for the bat anyway, so might as well buy it right now. Let's get this thing going. And this combo of the Spirit of the Forest and the Carpet of Spikes is just so good. I mean, look at the track. There's so many projectiles, so many things left on the track. You know what we could call this combo? We could call it the Lego setup. You know when you have Legos and when you just step onto the bricks and it hurts a lot? Yeah, that's what's happening to these balloons. The Lego setup is absolutely demolishing balloons. 99 is not gonna be a problem just thanks to the Carpet of Spikes. Maybe we should have waited to see how good the Spirit of the Forest is, but honestly, that's not what the tower is meant to do. So just making it so far with the Spirit of the Forest is kind of expected, but also feels kind of nice because I haven't bought this tower in a very long time, and it's cut the majority of the pots, 1.6 million. Let's overclock Oben for one last time. We're gonna be destroying this bad balloon, and then let's check out the pop count, and then, you know, just final thoughts on this tower. It's probably, you know, as I mentioned in the mid game, yeah, this tower is just probably just kind of as good as it was on single lane maps, maybe even a little bit better. But just the fact that it's not one-shotting ceramics and it's not holding 2 balloons at once, that makes it significantly worse on multi-lane tracks. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'm gonna see you on the next one.